What if the dry kibble you pour into that bowl every single morning is quietly missing the exact ingredients your dog needs to live to 14, 15, even 16 years old? Walk down any pet store aisle and every single bag claims to be the best. But here's the honest truth from behind the clinic door. Even the most expensive kibble on the market is a cooked, shelf-stable food. It keeps your dog alive, but it often falls short of giving them everything they need to truly thrive and push back against the diseases that come with age. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Sarah Peterson, your neighborhood veterinarian. I know feeding our dogs well is one of the most quietly stressful parts of being a pet parent. We all wish we could give them a fully fresh, home-cooked or raw diet, but most of us simply can't justify hundreds of dollars a month on food. And please don't feel guilty about that. Dry kibble is a solid, affordable foundation. What we're doing today is upgrading it. In this masterclass, I'm giving you my top 5 additions, the exact things to sprinkle, pour, and mix into that regular bowl to fight aging, protect key organs, and genuinely add good years to your dog's life. The best part, most of these ingredients are already sitting in your fridge. Grab a notebook, hit subscribe, and let's talk about the single most overlooked thing missing from your dog's bowl right now. Secret number 1 is the cheapest, most underrated addition of all, moisture. Think about the biology here. In the wild, a dog's ancestors ate prey that was roughly 70% water. Their kidneys evolved around a naturally high moisture diet. Dry kibble, by comparison, is only about 10% moisture. Feed that day after day, year after year, and a dog can end up living in a state of mild chronic dehydration, which places a slow, silent strain on the kidneys over a decade. Kidney disease is one of the leading causes of death in senior dogs, and it often builds quietly without obvious symptoms until it's advanced. Here's a scene you've probably witnessed. Your dog finishes a bowl of dry kibble and immediately marches over to gulp down a huge amount of water. Their body is trying to rehydrate what they just ate. The fix is simple. Stop serving a completely dry bowl. Pour a 1/4 cup of unsalted, onion and garlic-free bone broth over their food and let it sit for about 5 minutes before serving so the kibble soaks it up. If bone broth isn't in the budget, warm water works too. It enhances the smell of the food for picky eaters and adds hydration. Their kidneys will genuinely thank them for later in life. Secret number 2 is what I like to call the golden oil for the heart, brain, and joints. In both human and veterinary medicine, we know that chronic low-level inflammation sits underneath almost every major age-related disease, arthritis, heart issues, even certain cancers. Most dry dog foods lean heavy on omega-6 fatty acids from the grains and fats used in production, and omega-6s tend to be inflammatory. Omega-3s work in the opposite direction, acting as the body's natural anti-inflammatory. The catch is that omega-3s degrade quickly once a bag is opened, so even a food that lists them on the label may have very little active benefit left by the time you're halfway through the bag. Here's a scenario I see constantly. An owner brings in an 8-year-old dog and says, "He's just getting old, he doesn't jump on the couch anymore, and he sleeps all day." 9 times out of 10, that dog isn't simply old, his joints are quietly inflamed. Add a fresh, active omega-3 source, and within weeks, that same dog is often back to playing fetch. My top recommendation is a high-quality salmon oil kept refrigerated in an airtight pump bottle so it stays fresh, with 2 pumps over their kibble daily. If you'd rather use whole food, canned sardines packed in water with no added salt, 1 or 2 tossed over the food twice a week, deliver a solid dose of omega-3s and clean protein. Just start slow, since a sudden large dose of fat can cause an upset stomach. Work your way up gradually over a couple of weeks. Secret number 3 might surprise you because it's something you probably already eat when you're trying to be healthy yourself: blueberries. As dogs age, their cells go through oxidative stress, meaning waste byproducts called free radicals build up and damage healthy tissue over time, including brain tissue. This process is closely tied to canine cognitive decline, essentially the dog version of dementia. Antioxidants act like little sponges in the bloodstream, soaking up those free radicals before they cause lasting damage, and blueberries are one of nature's most concentrated sources. Cognitive decline in senior dogs is heartbreaking to watch, staring blankly at a wall, getting stuck behind furniture, pacing at odd hours because the routine feels unfamiliar. We can't reverse existing brain damage, which is exactly why prevention matters while a dog is still young and middle-aged. Here's the trick most people get wrong, though. Dogs have short, fairly acidic digestive tracts, and a handful of whole raw blueberries often passes straight through undigested. Instead, mash 5 or 6 fresh or frozen blueberries with a fork until the skins break open, then mix that soft purple mash into their kibble. If you're using frozen berries, a quick 10 seconds in the microwave softens them enough to mash easily. Secret number 4 ties directly back to something we talk about often on this channel, the gut. Did you know that a huge portion of a dog's entire immune system lives in their gastrointestinal tract? That gut is home to trillions of bacteria that fight infection, aid digestion, and even communicate with the brain. But the extreme heat used to make kibble shelf-stable for over a year kills off almost all the living bacteria in the food, both good and bad. When a dog eats only sterile, heavily processed food, that gut microbiome can quietly starve, and a weakened microbiome opens the door to allergies, infections, and chronic disease. Here's a pattern I see often: a dog with constantly itchy paws or recurring smelly ear infections. Owners usually assume it's a grass or chicken allergy, and sometimes it is, but very often, ongoing yeast issues actually trace back to an imbalanced gut rather than a true allergy. The fix is reintroducing living, beneficial bacteria. Plain kefir or plain unsweetened yogurt, roughly a tablespoon mixed into dinner for a medium-sized dog, is one of the simplest, most affordable ways to do this. Always check the label for xylitol, sometimes relabeled birch sugar since it's highly toxic even in tiny amounts, and stick strictly to plain, unflavored products. If your dog is lactose sensitive, a quality pet-specific probiotic powder from your vet works just as well. And finally, secret number 5. And I want you to really sit with this one because it's one of the most under-recognized threats to lifespan out there: dental disease. So many pet parents assume bad breath is just part of owning a dog. It isn't. That smell is bacteria and inflamed tissue. Here's why this matters so much for lifespan. Gums are lined with tiny blood vessels, and when plaque and tartar build up, bacteria infects that tissue. Every time your dog chews, some of that bacteria gets pushed directly into the bloodstream, and it tends to travel first to the heart valves and the kidneys. Years of untreated dental bacteria showering the major organs can quietly contribute to serious heart and kidney disease down the line. I think about this every time an older dog comes in for a routine check, and the owner casually mentions a slight cough. Sometimes, listening closely to the chest reveals a heart murmur that traces back, at least in part, to years of unmanaged dental bacteria. It's a hard connection to see coming, and it's exactly why we can't treat bad breath as harmless. The fix here comes in layers. An enzymatic seaweed powder like Ascophyllum nodosum sprinkled over kibble can help soften plaque over time as it's secreted through the saliva. Look specifically for the VOHC seal from the Veterinary Oral Health Council on any dental product, since that seal means it's been clinically proven to actually reduce plaque, rather than just marketed as a dental product. And nothing beats actual physical brushing. Even brushing with pet-safe toothpaste just a few times a week can meaningfully protect the heart over the years. A simple finger brush makes this far easier than a full-size toothbrush for a lot of dogs. So take a step back and look at what we just built. A plain, dry bowl of kibble, now rehydrated with warm broth to protect the kidneys, enriched with a fresh omega-3 to calm joint inflammation, topped with mashed blueberries to shield the aging brain, layered with probiotics to strengthen the immune system, and finished with an enzymatic sprinkle fighting for the heart. That's not just dinner anymore. That's a bowl of genuine preventative care, and it didn't require a culinary degree or hundreds of extra dollars a month. You don't need to add all 5 tonight. Pick just one to start, maybe soaking the food in warm water this week, or grabbing a can of sardines at the store. Small, consistent changes are what actually add up over years. Which of these 5 bowl boosters are you going to try first? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this video gave you something genuinely useful today, please hit that like button and subscribe so you catch the next masterclass. Give your dog a gentle scratch behind the ears for me tonight. Keep giving them the very best, and I'll see you in the very next video.